Hello, I'm Mr. Davey, and today we're going to talk about congruence. All right, congruent figures have the same shape and size as each other. That's the definition it gives you. All right, so if I say triangle A, B, C is congruent to triangle D, E, F. Right? This little sign in the middle, that means congruent. And what that means is if I have a triangle and I say that's A, that's B, and that's C. So let's say I have another triangle over here. And I say this triangle, ABC, is congruent with this triangle over here. So, D, E, F. Now, the points have to match up if you're saying two triangles are congruent. I said triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF, so they have to match up. So if I took DEF, flipped it over on top, it would be the perfect match. Obviously, it's not because I'm doing this by freehand. So D has to match up with the A point. E has to match up with the B, and F with the C. You have to put it in the correct order. I cannot switch these and say that's F and that's D, because it wouldn't fit then. It has to be in the direct order. I also cannot switch these around. I can't say ABC is congruent to EFD. It has to be in the exact order of the original to say that it flips over on top of it. And it has to be the corresponding points. So A and D are in the same place if I rotated this and put it on top. E would be on B, and F and C. They have to match up point for point. All right, now we are going to talk about the corresponding sides and angles for this. So, a side. So if I want to say AB, it's written A, B with a line over it. Now, which one does that correspond to on DEF? So AB is here, and since they all are matched up, AB, if I took this triangle and put it on top, it'd be matched up with DE. Again, it's in the same order. AB, DE, it has to go in the same order. Those are corresponding sides. So another corresponding side here would be AC. So if I said AC, what is the corresponding side over here? I started with A, so I have to start with D, and then I go over to F. Same sides. Now the last one, BC. Corresponds with EF. Now if I wanted to, I could switch that around and say side CB, but then what do I have to do with this? Since now I'm going CB, I have to go FE. It has to be written the same to say that they're corresponding. Now those are corresponding sides. Now corresponding angles are just a little bit different. So I'm going to say A. All right. Which side of this corresponds over there? D. All right, and you get it. So if I say C, F, and so on. So that just shows you what's corresponding between the two. So always remember when you're just talking about two congruent triangles or two congruent images, just take one and imagine putting it on top of the other. And those are the ones that correspond to each other, the sides, the angles, all of it. All right? Now there are times you have to prove that two triangles are congruent. So here I have triangles ABC and DEF. Now there are certain, before I show you actually the postulates for it, how this is shown. So if I say BC line is congruent to EF. How I would show that is just with a line. So now I know that side BC and EF are congruent to each other. Then if I go on and say side AB is congruent with side A, or B, so DE. Now, this already has one line, so all I have to do now is put two lines through it. So that shows that these two are congruent and these two are congruent. And that's how you do it. So if I said AC is congruent to FD, I put three lines through it. Now with the angles, if I say angle D is congruent to angle A, all right? How I write that is just with a half circle, or a whatever circle, semicircle, whatever you want to call it. All right? Then let's say something else. Let's say angle E is congruent. So angle E is congruent to angle B. Now, I show that they're congruent. And that is only when they're different angles. If I have the same angle, so if I said angle A and angle C are the same thing, I would just put one line there to show. You don't have to do three for each one. It's just showing that they're different angles that are congruent. All right, now I'm going to go over the 4 you need to know for this. All right, there's 4 different ways to show that these triangles are congruent that I'm going to go over. So it's knowing that their parts are congruent that leads to it. So the first one I'm going to do is side, side, side. So SSS. So to prove these are congruent, you need to know that all 3 sides of your triangle are congruent. So that's me saying AB is congruent to ED, BC is congruent to EF, and AC is congruent to FD. So that'd be side, side, side. How that might be written is I say line segment A, B is congruent to line segment DE. Then line segment BC is congruent to EF. All right, and you get it. And the last one be AC is congruent. I know my congruency signs are backwards, sorry. Line segment DF. All right, so side, 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 all 3 sides are congruent, and that's how it'd be written. And that's what you have to prove. All right, I'm just gonna go into the next one before I erase all this. So side, angle, side. SAS, side, angle, side. So I'm going to take away that, I'm going to take away that, I'm going to fix my lines. All right. So now I have 2 sides that are congruent. So let me write that out real quick for you. So line segment AB is congruent to line segment DE, and then line segment EF is congruent to line segment BC. All right? But now I have two sides, now I need that angle. The angle has to be in between. It's a different one if you have an angle over here. That'd be side, well, you can't do that. Thought you could, you can't. All right, so now you just need this angle. So now I need to know that angle B is congruent to angle E. So side, angle, side. And there you go. That's how it would be written. You have to have a side, the angle in between, and another side. Same thing. These all have to be congruent to each other. And then you could say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Right? Those are two. There's two more I'm going to go over. For the last two, we're going to do something different. I gave you a set of stuff. This is one example. This is another example, and you have to tell me what it is. So I have angle A is congruent to angle D. Now, I can cross that off. Angle A, or line segment AC, is congruent to DF. Good. Now, angle C is congruent to angle F. So now I have an angle, a side, and an angle. So yes, they are congruent, and that's called angle, side, angle. Now for the last one, if you saw before, I messed it up, I had to make a change real quick, so I'm redoing it. So it says angle B is congruent with angle E. Angle D is congruent to angle A. And then line segment DF and AC are congruent. So that's angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. And that is how you find it. Those are the four you need to know, and those are the ways to do it. So what you do is you just, with the information you are given, you look to see what's congruent, what's not, and you try to figure out which it is. Right? Sometimes this can be a bit confusing. If you get a good grasp of the four and what's congruent and what's not, then you should not have that hard of a time with this. All right? Good luck.